beautiful sweet friends, how you doing today? It's me, Sharita Jones, checking back in with another video. Hey guys, it's time for another episode of It's Hard Out Here for a Temp. Sing it with me. You know it's hard out here for a temp when you're trying to get this money for the rent. You know it's hard out here for a temp when you're trying to get this money for the rent. Guys, here's another chapter in my series, It's Hard Out Here for a Temp. This story is called The Temp Who Got Stuck in the Middle. Stuck in the middle of you. Yes, I'm stuck in the middle of you. The assignment seemed simple enough, like simple. 3 weeks at a publishing company, helping them with the admin team, like helping the admin team catching up on filing and data entry. That was simple, right? I arrived on Monday morning, guys, greeted by a towering sacks. You know, all them big sacks of paper? I was greeted by all those sacks of paper. So I was greeted by towering sacks of paper and this crazy manager named Linda. Thank you so much for coming in on short notice. That's what Linda said. She was shoving a clipboard into my hand. She just shoved a clipboard. We're behind on everything, and we've got a huge board meeting next week. Just focus on clearing out the backlog. That's all I want you to do. And she shoved the clipboard. Easy enough, I thought, until I realized that this office wasn't just behind. It was a battlefield. As they say, love is a battlefield. It was a battlefield. Within an hour, it became clear there was tension between two key players, Linda, the office manager, and Steve, the head of marketing. Their desks were opposite ends of each other, like their desks sat at the opposite ends of the office, but their voices carried loud enough for everybody to hear all day, every day. Did you send me those reports? Linda would just yell out sharply across the room, and then here's Steve. I'm still waiting on numbers from accounting. Steve shout back. Steve just shout that back, and I'm sitting in the middle. I'm in the middle of both of their desks. That back and forth continued all morning, all day, with me awkwardly caught in the middle, guys. It was insane. By lunchtime, I had settled into a rhythm, scanning documents and organizing files. Then Linda approached my desk holding a stack of papers. Big old stack. She came with this big stack. She said, "Can you do me a favor?" It's never good when they say that. She asked. She lowered her voice and whispered, "Make sure these reports are on Steve's desk before the end of the day. But don't say they're from me. Don't say anything. Keep that a secret. He doesn't need to know." This is what Linda was saying. I blinked like this. I'm like, yeah, sure, Linda. She smiled and walked away, leaving me holding what looked like sales data from an upcoming pitch. An hour later, Steve appeared. Steve came to my desk next. "Hey," he said, glancing around. He was looking around to see if anybody was looking. He was looking around like a conspiracy, like it was a secret. Shh. He said, "If Linda asks, I already sent these reports to the board. She doesn't need to micromanage me." This is what Steve was saying, that he didn't want Linda micromanaging me. He handed me a flash drive, and I stared at him. Then I looked at the flash drive, and then I looked at the pile of papers that Linda had just given me, and it was clear that these two weren't just disorganized, guys. They were playing a game of corporate chess, and I was now their unwitting pawn. I didn't want to be involved with that foolishness. Seriously. Over the next few days, I became the unofficial go-between. Linda would ask me to track down files that Steve hadn't submitted. And then Steve would ask me to accidentally forward emails that made him look good. He wanted me to make him look good. This is what Steve would say. Meanwhile, I was still trying to clear the backlog, which seemed to grow by the hour. So I didn't have time to be playing their game when I had my own work to do. I said, "Why don't you just talk to each other?" I asked Linda this one day after she asked me to proofread an email. She was too angry to send herself. She was so mad at Steve. She was like, "Can you proofread this?" She's just sighed. Steve doesn't listen. Besides, you're neutral. Everyone trusts the temp. That's what Linda said. I said, "Neutral, Linda? Sure. Okay." That's what I said. By the end of the week, the situation had came to a head. Linda had promised the board a finalized project timeline, but Steve hadn't provided the marketing materials that was needed for this provided timeline. She needed Steve's report in order to finalize this. She said, "Hey, Sharita, can you check to see if he's even started? Go ahead and ask Steve for me." She asked me to go ask Steve on her behalf. I reluctantly walked over to Steve's desk. He was scrolling through his phone. That's what he was doing. He was just scrolling through his phone, playing in his phone. I said, "Hey, Steve, Linda wants to know about the timeline. Are you done with the timeline? Steve just groaned. Tell her I'm working on it. Steve was not working on it, okay? He was over there playing on his phone. I said, are you, Steve? Are you really working on it? I was tired of both of them. I was sick of both of them. He smirked. He said, define working. Define working. You know, being silly and goofy. And define working. That afternoon, guys, Linda had called an emergency meeting. The entire team crammed into this office conference room. It was so tight in there, and the tensions were high. I mean, extremely high. She said, we're running out of time, Linda said, glaring at Steve. She was just staring at Steve saying, we're out of time. If you don't send me those materials, we're all going to look bad. This is what she was saying at Steve. So Steve just leaned back into his chair. Maybe if you stop breathing down my neck, I'll get more done. How is this going on in this office like this? I sat silently in my corner. I just sat there silently in my corner. Wish I could just disappear, y'all. They kept going back and forth throughout the whole meeting. After the meeting, Linda cornered me. This is so crazy. I'm like, Linda, what is it, girl? She said, can you stay late tonight? She asked. I need to prepare a contingency plan in case Steve doesn't deliver. Why is Steve not doing his job? And why are y'all constantly fighting like this? You can't get nothing done like this under this type of situation. This is insane. It's actually hostile. Sure, I said, though I was starting to regret ever taking this assignment, guys. I told the temp agency what was going on, but of course, the temp said, just stick it out. It's only for 3 weeks. That night, guys, as I sifted through yet another stack of papers, I noticed something odd, duplicate files in the system. Steve's marketing materials had been uploaded weeks ago, but no one had even noticed that. No one had even noticed because the files' names were slightly different. Why? Why, Steve? What's going on? I printed everything and left it on Linda's desk with a note. I left it on Linda's desk saying, already in the system. Left it on her desk. The next morning, I expected fireworks. I expected when Linda came in and when Steve came in and when Linda saw the files, I thought there was going to be an argument or a fight. Instead, I arrived to the office finding it surprisingly quiet. Everybody was quiet. It was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Linda approached me with an embarrassed smile. She did. She said, thanks for catching that, she said. It saved us a lot of trouble. I'm like, I just don't understand why her and Steve are fighting like this. Steve gave me a thumbs up from across the room. He did. He gave me a thumbs up from across the room. From across the room, Steve was just doing this thumbs up thing. For the first time in days, they weren't yelling at each other. Thank God. That was so annoying. By the end of that assignment, guys, the backlog was clear. The board meeting was a success, and Linda and Steve had reached a tentative truce. They agreed to go along to get along. Thank God. You did great, Linda said as she handed me my final paycheck. Thank you, Linda. Linda said, we'll definitely call you if we need more help. I smiled politely, thinking to myself, please don't call me, Linda. I don't want to work with Linda and Steve no more. They cut up. Do you hear me? They cut up in that office. Being a temp means walking a fine line between helping and meddling, between staying neutral and getting caught in the crossfire, getting caught in some bull duty. That was a mess, guys. It's hard out here for a temp, but sometimes the only way to survive, guys, is to embrace the chaos and find the solution no one else is looking for, guys. So thank you so much for listening, guys. Sing it with me. You know it's hard out here for a temp when you're trying to get this money for the rent. You know it's hard out here for a temp when you're trying to get this money for the rent. You know it's hard. It's hard out here for a temp. Hey, it's hard out here for a temp. It's hard out here for a temp. Clap, 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 clap. Hey, clap, 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 clap. Hey, hey, clap, 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 clap. Hey, clap, 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 clap. It's hard out here for a temp. Hey, it's hard out here for a temp. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome back to another episode, guys. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. God bless y'all. Thank y'all so much for always liking, watching, commenting, and subscribing. And I'll see y'all in the next episode of It's Hard Out Here for a Temp. It's hard out here for a temp. Love y'all. Have a good day. Bye for now.